Hey everybody, this is Kevin McFarland from The Art of Emergency Nursing, and you're listening to 30 Days to Being a Badass ER Nurse. In the next 30 days, I'm going to give you some quick tips and tricks to help you be a better ER nurse. And of course, as always, it's not just me you're going to hear from. I've recruited some of my friends to give you some of their tips and tricks so they can share their knowledge as well. So don't forget to subscribe so that you catch all the episodes. And if you find one of these tips and tricks are really helpful, give me a shout out on social media and share it with your friends. Let's get into today's tip. Hey everybody, this is Kevin McFarland, and it is day 30 of the 30-day podcast challenge. And all I can say is I hope you have enjoyed this challenge as much as I've enjoyed doing it for you. I want to thank all my friends who participated in the challenge by calling in their tips, their tricks, that hopefully those little tips and tricks made you a little bit better nurse. I want to end this challenge with 5 things I think really will make you a badass nurse. And they're in no particular order, but I'm going to go through these 5 things. Number 1. One thing I know it's true of every good nurse I know, every badass nurse I've ever met, is that they're always trying to be better at their craft. This is one of the hallmark signs of a professional. No matter how experienced you are, there's always something to learn. If there are shifts where you show up and you're not learning something, then you're not paying attention. If you're not learning in your current environment, maybe it's time to change things up a little bit. Don't settle to be the smartest person in the room. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Always be learning. Always look for those little golden nuggets that you could then take and pass on to the next generation of emergency nurses. Heck, maybe you're going to pick up one of next year's tips for the 30-day podcast challenge. Number 2, get involved. As you know, I'm a huge proponent for joining professional organizations. There's truly nothing like getting involved and having the opportunity for it to have even a small influence on the practice of your chosen profession. As a member of a professional organization, this is exactly what you get to do. Not to mention you'll meet people from all over the world, and that in itself is an amazing thing. Some of my closest friends are a direct result from my involvement in ENA. One of the great things about being part of a professional organization is you'll not only confirm that you're not alone in this crazy world of emergency nursing, and that alone's worth the cost of membership. Number 3, always lift up other nurses. Nurses eating their young is some true shit, and every one of you know this. Refuse to be that bully nurse. Be the nurse that lifts up other nurses and makes them better than even they think they can be. Pour your knowledge and wisdom into a new nurse on your unit. Take the time to mentor somebody and make them the nurse that you want to work with. Lead not only in your words, but by example as well. Also, don't allow the bullies to do what they do. It takes a lot of guts to call out the behavior, and sometimes it's so covert it's hard to see. Call it out when you see it, and follow up however is necessary to make sure that the behavior changes. We owe this to the next generation of emergency nurses who follow behind us. Number 4, always advocate for your patients. One of the most important things we do as a nurse is advocate for our patients. Anytime, anywhere, anyhow. Like my friend Cheryl said a couple days ago, sometimes it's not easy and you may not feel popular, but that's all right. Advocating for your patients sometimes looks like other things. Here are some things that ultimately serve to advocate for your patients. Sometimes it's ensuring the safety of your patient. It could be the simple tasks like doing the 7 checks or 7 rights of medication administration and making sure that your patient who is at risk for falls is as safe as you can make them. Sometimes advocacy for your patient looks like being the voice of your patient when they cannot speak for themselves. I always remember what would I want my family to experience and how would I want to be cared for myself. That makes a determination in what I do as a nurse. Sometimes advocacy looks like patient education. Never miss an opportunity to give a patient some information about their health issues or any other information they need to hear. They may not hear it the first time. They may not hear it the second time. It may take 100 times for it to go through, but sometimes you'll get through. You'll never know what kind of lives you touch when you're educating your patients. And number 5 is get certified. If you've been waiting for a sign to get certified, this is it. Make 2020 the year that you get certified. If you already have one, renew or start pursuing another one. Having a certification won't necessarily make you a better nurse, but studying for a certification surely will. The journey of studying for a certification is the win. Most people I know never really feel like they're ready to take the test, so what I'll tell you is give yourself a deadline, come up with a plan, and get it done. When it's all over, you can brag about being a certified emergency nurse. This really is the mark of distinction in our profession. That's my closing advice for the 30-day challenge. Again, thank you so much for listening. I hope you learned a thing or two, and I'm going to leave you with a call to action. I'm going to ask you to first and foremost share this podcast with your friends. Go to Facebook, go to Instagram, and share one of the many posts with a nurse colleague. This helps spread the word about the show. Oh yeah, and if you're not already following the show on Facebook and Instagram, please take the time to do that as well. I'm really trying to increase my followers on Instagram, so please follow me there if you're not already. Second, if you have an iPhone, I need you to stop what you're doing right now. Well, as soon as I'm done talking. And I want you to go to the Apple Podcast app, and I want you to leave a 5-star rating and even a review for this podcast. Again, this increases the show's visibility to nurses who haven't yet discovered it, and we want them to hear the same message that you're hearing right now. I appreciate your time and attention. Thanks for making this podcast as successful as it's been. I appreciate every one of you listeners and everybody who interacts with me on Facebook. And even if you don't interact with me and you're just listening, I appreciate you too. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your attention. Thanks so much for listening, and have a great shift.
Thanks for listening to the Art of Emergency Nursing podcast. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast and follow us on Facebook.